Well guys, welcome back. Sorry, I'm just fixing my gear lever here, and yeah, sorry about that. Let's try that again, this time with sound. It's always easier to talk when people can hear you. We're figuring out a few things. There's a few adjustments we've been making for the things coming up this week, so as always there'll be a few technical things to work on. Luckily we have a brilliant team behind the scenes. Alex, who's truly a brilliant person, is working on it, and of course everyone in the control room as well. So apologies for that, but most of you have been on Drive with us before, and you know that doing this live in Africa as we speak is not the easiest thing always. Even though it is one of the most fun things, there are many technical things to consider. So apologies for that. Hopefully you can hear me perfectly right now. So I'm going to just say hello again. Welcome to the afternoon drive. My name is Peter Pretorius. VM is on camera behind us. He's been showing you those beautiful things while they're getting the sound sorted. And Rowan as well this afternoon on Drive with us. Rowan, that's his thumb. There we go. He's got a very famous thumb, Rowan. He's going to be helping us on camera as well over the next week or so. So welcome. We've got beautiful elephants here, some nyala, lots of things happening. It is very hot this afternoon. We're talking about 40 plus degrees Celsius. For many of you, Fahrenheit will make more sense. That's over 105 Fahrenheit. So proper hot. But there's a bit of a breeze blowing. The humidity is not too bad, so it's actually quite pleasant. As long as you're drinking lots of liquids, it's not too bad. So it's going to be a beautiful afternoon. A bit windy. I think there's been sort of some light talk around camp about the possibility of rain over the next day or two. It'll be nice to cool things down, obviously also for the habitat. And just looking forward to the afternoon. We had beautiful morning, lots of elephant around. I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to see more of them. We had Mvula, big male leopard. We had his tracks up in the drainage line here. He might pop out later on. So lots of things to look forward to. As always, pleasure to have you here. Let's go look around, see what's out there. Hayden will also be joining you. They're just working on one or two things on his 4x4. And the guys are also out. Stefan, Brent, and Scott, of course. And let's just have a look at these two. It's such a beautiful scene here with the cracked dry mud of the water all around them. Of course the water now gone. And also a warm welcome to guys that you won't see much, but you will see many things that they find for us. They've come to help with the tracking. Jeffrey and Bright, super duper trackers. They're going to be helping us over the next week to hopefully find some of the things that are harder to find. Now Charlie, we'll actually go down there and have a look at what you're talking about. Guys, again, if this is maybe one of your first drives with us, you also do have the ability to ask questions or to make comments, to chat with each other as well, of course, Twitter and so forth. Hashtag Safari Live for Twitter, or you can email us questions to questions@wildearth.tv, and we can talk about some of those questions. We can't always get to all of them, but especially questions relevant to what's going on at the moment on the drive. We love getting those, or just questions in general, chit chat. That's what people do on safari. You look at beautiful wildlife, but you also just get to know each other, and you have some sort of light-hearted and interesting, fun conversations. So feel free to ask and to say hello. Charlie was just mentioning the catfish that are flopping around in literally what's the last mud. It'll probably be dry in the next 2 or 3 days. Let's have a look at these ellies again. Yeah, no, certainly. Larry, good afternoon. Larry's just saying that he can remember seeing this dam when it's full, 5-6 feet of water in it, probably even more when it's really full. Even where we're standing now, our wheels would be in the water. Those elephants would be up to about their sort of midway up the body where the eyes are, that depth in the water normally. So yes, this is certainly a change from some months ago. these are two youngish bulls. They would be at that age where they, as we can see actually, they're starting to hang around on the periphery of the herd. So the breeding herd is just over the wall from us, just behind this sort of embankment of sand, but the males at this age start hanging around more on the edges of the group. They're starting to get very gentle pressure from the bigger females to start leaving the herd. And this one is going to come and say hello to us, maybe, if we're lucky. Hello, mister. You can see that on his back there's a nice thick layer of dry mud. Actually his whole skin has got mud in it in most places, and that's a very important cooling mechanism, obviously mud, but also sunscreen. If you ever forget your sunscreen and you're in really bad condition, hot, sort of sunny conditions, just a nice layer of mud on you will do wonders. Let's have a look at those catfish. Charlie, you were asking about the catfish. Sorry guys, if you can hear the radio at the moment, I'm not sure why that is. Now this might be a little bit upsetting for some of you, so don't run away or don't be upset by it. These catfish will be fine. These catfish, they're the last of the last. They are busy basically trying to wallow themselves into this mud, and I'm hoping for their sakes they didn't wait too long, because this is literally like imagine a big frozen lake and there's one hole in it to get oxygen through. This is the almost opposite of that. It's the last little spot that they can get into the mud. But as I said, even though it might look upsetting to you, catfish can survive very well in these conditions. They've been, for thousands of years, they've evolved to be fine in this. They will wallow, or not wallow, they will wiggle into that last bit of mud, and then once the mud dries they will stay in that, call it crust of mud, and when the rains come again and the mud softens and the water's there, they come out again. They can survive 2 or 3 years even like that. Amazing, all the different mechanisms animals have to survive. We're going to leave these catfish to do their digging. Some more ellies arrived up there. Now, again, just to, as Larry was saying earlier, 6 months ago we would have been almost underwater now driving in this dam. So these Land Rovers are good at off-road, but they can only go so far into the water. But we're going to cross where there was water only months ago to those ellies. Why I'm joking about the water is, even though this waterhole is dry, luckily, because Woyatela Lodge is up here, there's 2 water points that gets water pumped into it now. So these will become very, very, not only popular, but also very important and strategic watering points for animals. Obviously great for us in terms of viewing. And it also means we can come and sit sort of down here and get like a, almost like if we were lying on our bellies kind of view of these ellies. So that should be a nice view. Question all the way from Ohio. Hello Sherry, asking if the elephants will kill those catfish in the mud. Well, not really. I mean, by accident maybe if they stand on one, but not likely. However, and it's actually been strange to me that we haven't seen something on it yet, but this morning Hayden on his part of the drive saw saddlebill stork having a go at some of the catfish. So some of your big storks, obviously fish eagles, some of your big predatory birds, but even things like hyena, jackal, lion even might eat a bit of catfish, even though it's not part of their sort of typical diet. But obviously they are exposed, but these ones, at least when we've been here, have been fine so far. Maybe lucky is a better word. And many animals of course don't actually need water, surprisingly even. In fact, let's ask this question. A few of you tell us some of the animals that live in this area, in Sabi Sands Game Reserve in South Africa, where we are at the moment. If you can tell us a few animals that are water independent. Doesn't mean they don't drink water, but they don't need water to survive on a daily basis. Now in Namibia, where I'm from, there's many animals like that. Springbok, gemsbok, those are antelope that you don't get here specifically. They are specifically adapted to desert conditions. But I'm thinking actually of two species at the moment that might surprise many of you to know that they are also water independent. In other words, they can survive without water for days, even weeks at end. Again, I must just say with that, doesn't mean they don't drink water, it just means they can survive without it. So let us know a little bit. Lots of noise as well, you can hear the sounds there. That's a lilac-breasted roller in the back, starlings, black-headed oriole that I could hear just now. Guys, and if you are trying to tell us some of the animals you think might be water independent, remember you can send questions and or answers or thoughts to questions@wildearth.tv for email, or Twitter obviously is nice and quick, #SafariLive. Now elephants, when they're drinking water, people sometimes think that they drink water through their trunks almost like a straw. In other words, they suck it up through the trunk. It's not the case. The trunk really, let's make sure I've got my radio right here, the trunk really is a long nose. So what they do is they suck water up into the trunk and they hold it there. Like if you suck on a straw and you hold the top close, you don't sort of create an airlock. That water stays there. Obviously, put the trunk in their mouth, blow it back into the mouth, and they can suck up many liters of water like that at a time. Big elephants can drink a lot of water, 100 liters, 150 liters even at one go. That's about what is that? 30 gallons, 25 gallons or so. Big bull elephants. These are not that big. It's a big female. Looks like a young female, obviously a youngster, but enjoying their drink. I'm just loving this view. You know, from a photographic point of view, those of you that are into photography, I know many wildlife enthusiasts are, excuse me, it's always great when you can to get low down. Now, the bigger your lens, in other words, if you have a long zoom lens, it's easier to get that kind of effect, but also just getting low down. So even on your belly sometimes you can get really great sort of aspects to the background, and where we're sitting now is just a perfect opportunity to illustrate that. You can see the tree line in the back, beautiful light as well, sort of side light, and even though it's still quite hot in the afternoon, we have a little bit of a hazy sky, so it's getting that, what in sort of advertising photography you call a scrim, so something that filters the light and softens it. So absolutely stunning afternoon. Guys, as I said, Hayden is also going to get out there, but they're just working on a few technical things. I think he just wants to say hello to you as well. He's just as happy as I am to be out here, and he would like to say hi and definitely get out there later on in the afternoon. We're going to sit tight here, watch his Elizabeth, see what comes up, and have you back here quite soon. But for now, enjoy saying how's it to Hayden, and we'll see you back here just now.
Well, under the shade of a beautiful marula tree we are, folks, and welcome to Safari Live for this afternoon. A bit of a hot one, a real hot one today, and it's definitely taken a little bit of getting used to for me, coming from the UK yesterday and jumping in a vehicle up into sort of the late 30s, up around 40 degrees today, Celsius. So welcome to Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner. If I haven't met you before, great to meet you. If I haven't met you before, great to have you back on board. If you want to interact with us, ask us questions, you know you can do that at hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at WildEarthTV through email, and we'd love to talk to you as much as we possibly can today. I'm with Brian. And Brian and I have been sitting in the shade of this beautiful marula here, and one of the things that trees does give us out in the bush, and particularly animals, is shade. We've just been sitting here up on quarantine watching different species. They've all sort of pushed down here now. We had a group of a herd of impala just here. We had a couple of kudu. We're just going to go and follow those guys, but I tell you, you can just feel it getting a little bit cooler, Brian, can't you? Just a little tiny bit. And they were all standing in the shade, and you know when impala and those animals are standing in the shade, you know it's really hot. So we watch them all just move off, and which means it's getting a little bit cooler, but it does mean that any cats that are around will pretty much be flat or lying down in the shade somewhere, so it makes it a little bit trickier, but we've got lots of people out. There's a lovely little herd of impala down here, and some kudu browsing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drive around. We probably come across those guys as they're moving down through. We're going to cross back to Pete. I just wanted to say hi, and we're going to get out and try and find some interesting stuff. Great to have you on board, folks, and look forward to having you with us this afternoon. We'll see you just now.
Guys, this is the perfect view to illustrate to you how to count animals. You know, people often ask this, especially when you look at big herds of animals. You know, in Sabi Sands here, Djuma, I've seen, for instance, a herd of 1,500 odd buffalo. Now, that is quite a sight to see. I've been in parts of Africa where you see hundreds of elephants at a time. And just looking at that, let's just have a quick look at that before we look over. People don't realize it, but the most effective way to count animals in a herd is actually to count the legs. So you count the legs. It's a little bit trickier with elephants, I'll tell you why just now, but you count the legs and then you divide it by 4. It also is very good because it keeps your mathematics skills quite sharp, but with elephants it gets tricky because those trunks get in the way. So sometimes you count it and you're actually out afterwards. So it is quite difficult to count elephants, but with a bit of practice you can sort of get a handle on it. With nyalas, however, these antelope we're looking at, when they're coming to drink like they are at this moment with this beautiful view, just look at that background, soft light filtering through the leaves on the trees, absolutely stunning. With nyala, it's sometimes better to count the ears and then divide it by 2, just because you can't always see the legs. I thought they may be running away because I'm speaking so much nonsense. This is developing into such a beautiful setting. Sorry for being a little bit light-hearted. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm just having such a beautiful afternoon. Wow. Yes, some water-independent animals. Let's see what people came up with. Bushbuck Rocky. Margot says steenbuck. Eden says giraffe. Great answers, all of them. Sharon saying a chameleon, and Margaret said a leopard tortoise. Now, all of those animals, I don't actually know each and every one of them for a fact being water independent. I know giraffe do need to drink water. I don't think they need to drink every day. I know they can survive in arid conditions. Leopard tortoise certainly can go for quite a while without water. Although leopard tortoise, Margaret, was the closest, if I remember correctly, you said leopard tortoise, the closest to the ones I were thinking of. And those are actually the big cats. Leopard and lion are water independent, which is something many people don't actually know. They don't need to drink water daily or even weekly. They can survive in very, very dry, arid conditions. But of course, as we tend to say, there where I live sometimes, if the fish are biting, you must catch. If there's water, you should drink it. You can just have a look. Oh, that's just such a cool view, huh? I could just sit here the rest of the day. Beautiful view, the horizon line there in the back. Got the soft filtered light. You can see some animals moving in from the distance. There's some vervet monkeys and impala on the back. We'll go have a look at some of them just now. I'm just looking at this little patch here right in front of the elephant. VM, where is it? Just, where am I now? There, look at that. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit rusty with my small animal names, but also over the years I've found it more fun to sometimes just enjoy the butterfly rather than know its exact name. I would love to know what these are. If some of you have an idea. I know them well. They're quite a common butterfly. They're sort of a very soft, like a pale, very, very light green color. Obviously there's a good patch of moist water or sand there for them. Illies in the background. Go away bird calling there. Grey loerie, the older name that I still like. In Afrikaans actually we call the go away bird a kweefvoël, from that sound. Kwee. Oh, the animals are running. Nyala seem to be quite happy. Whoop, sorry VM, I didn't see you on them. Hello Joanne from the UK. A lot of English people actually into their birding, Joanne. I think it's because you've got great bird life there and make the most of it. There was a oh, it's flown away. There was a beautiful starling sitting there, but I just love the view of Voitela Lodge in the background. Right in front of the lodge. I think the game drives are out by now. They're going out about the same time as we are. So let's go have a look at what's going on down there. Yes, Joanne, we'll one of the things I miss about being out here on a more permanent basis, you know, when you spend a lot of time out here, you really get into the fine, small intricacies. Let's just look at those illies again. So just all these different views we're getting are just beautiful. There's lovely big acacia trees behind them, a few clouds in the sky. What a perfect place to be. In the bush, on a safari. But Joanne, yeah, certainly bird sounds and bird noises, I still recognize many and know many and can mimic many, but I'd love to spend some more permanent time out here again and just really get into the fine print, if you want, of the bush. See, this youngster had a good drink of water now. He's feeling all refreshed. That's sort of the sound that Debbie's referring to. Just asking, when elephants make that rumbling sound, where does it come from? From the chest or the trunk? It actually comes from the trunk, but more the top of the trunk, sort of where the trunk joins with the face, in that area there. One of the sounds we can hear, they make all these different sounds. Guys, and as I said, we're going to be sticking around here. There's lots of things going on. There's some monkeys we're still going to look at. Just have a quick look. We're going to go to the bushwalk shortly, but just there to the right, oh actually sorry William, this is taking our attention right now, is a playful female. You can see that, feeling nice and refreshed from a good drink, bit of extra energy. Hello, I recognize her. She's got that little like a little finger almost of skin on the bottom left of the ear there. I recognize her from before, and she's also missing part of the trunk, the sort of lower fifth or so of the trunk. not really bothering her much. She's in perfect condition. But yeah, just a look up there before we go over to the walk. Yeah, so I just want to have a quick look at those impalas all running down for a drink. Excitedly as well. You can see they're thirsty. It's been very hot. I've mentioned already, but perhaps you've only just joined us for the game drive here in Africa this afternoon. It is around, it's a bit cooler now. The sun has just moved behind some clouds, but it was 41 degrees earlier, which is 106 Fahrenheit, so proper hot. And of course then the animals are only too happy to be able to run down to nice fresh drinking water. These are impala, mostly females. I saw one male up there, but these are all females. The females don't have horns, the males have got quite big horns. Well, we're going to stick around here, see what else comes for a drink. But in the meantime, you're going to hop over to the walk quickly, see what's happening on foot in the bush, and we will see you back here in a few minutes.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Sunset Bushwalk. It's wonderful to have you with us, and it's myself, Scott, Jeandre on camera with a backpack, a long antenna pole, and the camera. He's got a lot to think about, and Stefan is also here behind the scenes. Now, we've been told you were watching some elephant with Peter, and we found you some other interesting stories about elephants and about what happens after they defecate. Now, this is quite a massive bolus of elephant dung, I'm guessing from a very big bull. I mean, it's absolutely huge. And what I'm going to show you about it is quite interesting. Now, I'll just move it ever so slightly. You can see how this side of the bolus of dung has kind of been removed by something. There's a piece of it missing. And when it was soft and fresh and workable, there would have been a dung beetle that came in and started gathering dung in this area. And once it finished gathering the dung, what it did was it excavated a burrow, and it would have carried that bolus of dung down into this burrow. And sadly, we can't see further enough down there, but isn't it wonderful how clever these dung beetles are? It buried its dung down there with an egg inside. Now, another thing that I'd like to show you, which wasn't too far away, and for those of you who were on the bushwalk with me 2 days ago, you would have seen me collect some marula nuts or seeds. These are them, the same type, but some of you will notice that they've been fed on in a very different way. And that is that you can see these little caps that are missing, that have been pried out by squirrel. And within that little hole is a very nutritious nut that the squirrel enjoys feeding on. Now, the other nuts that we saw the other day had been fed on by a rodent like a gerbil, and they couldn't open these little windows or holes to access the nuts and had to chew through a large portion of this nut in order to get to the seed. So these are from squirrels, and if we take just a few steps back, this big marula tree is the home of the squirrels, and in various cavities up in this tree, the squirrels would have been feasting. And then once they'd finished their snacks and it was time to do some hunting, it was quite simple. All they had to do was drop the nuts down, and that's why all around this marula tree are a whole bunch of the old seeds and nuts that the squirrels are fed on. We're going to carry on walking down the Mulwati riverbed and search for some other interesting stuff to show you guys. But while we do, we're going to send you back to Peter. Enjoy, and we'll see you a bit later.
Hi, monkey. You know, monkeys, they're funny things, and we had this monkey sitting in a beautiful place. It looked like a postcard image. He was sitting in the fork of a tree, grinning at us while you were looking at those dung beetles. And then, of course, just before he came back, the monkey decided to jump up into the tree. Perhaps which is why they call the shrewdness of monkeys, these big troops that we get. This is a vervet monkey, and we're going to try and show you others that are not being so sneaky. There's a whole group of them. But they're all sort of hiding at the moment. There's a few here to the left also hiding. Let's see what we can find. Elephant dung is a great source of food and moisture and shelter and breeding place for so many little insects and things. Squirrels, for instance, often take those marula nuts that you saw out of the dung and get the nuts out of that. Monkeys love those marula nuts as well, but obviously before they went through the elephant. Hey monkeys, isn't there one in this tree as well? Yeah. He's jumped across maybe. We will show you a monkey this afternoon. The monkeys are funny things. These monkeys now are aware of the fact that we want to see them. Now they're hiding. Wait, there they go. There's the big male going up the tree. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Sort of the warning sounds they make when they see a thing, leopards or snakes or something. And that's the big male. He's unfortunately right up in the foliage now, but he's got the bright blue markings, which is where the name vervet monkey comes from. On Afrikaans we call them blauw appie, which means literally blue monkey, even though the whole monkey is not always blue. Well, I think I'm going to really try and do an eco-friendly game drive this afternoon. Now, there's many ways you can do that. We always try and do that, obviously. Wild Earth is an eco-friendly business. We like to bring many people here without all the fuel expenditure of flights. This afternoon, I'm going to do my bit for the environment by driving very little, because everything is just all around us here. Those impala we were looking at earlier, look there at the waterhole, and look at what's coming in from the back there as well. It's a giraffe. Or a giraffe, depending on where you're from. So I think we're going to just stick around here this afternoon and see what else pops out. It's a nice big male giraffe.
The impala just chased the monkey.
Oh, is there a monkey as well? I missed that.
Yeah.
Reminding each other that we all get along, but if I'm bigger than you, I'm going to drink first. Well, we haven't actually really moved very far, pretty much most of the drive. Glad HD is out there as well now, he's all good to go. And the reason we haven't been moving far is just because it's all happening around us. Vervet monkeys, elephants, they've just moved into the bush now, we can still hear them. Big male giraffe just came down. Some of those impala were just chasing the monkeys around. Not really in an aggressive manner, but just more in a playful, be mindful manner, you know. I'm drinking now, you wait your turn. But this last part of summer, before the really bigger rains come, really is, in terms of game viewing, the most productive. You know, people always ask, when should we come to Africa? Amazing little insect buzzing around me here. And I've always got the same answer, it will never change. In case you were wondering, the best time to come to Africa, the best time by far, bar none, is the first available opportunity that you have. Up until then, come on safari as often as you can with us here on Wild Earth. Safari Live is a great way to experience Africa. But whenever you have the time, the first opportunity, get out here, come and see it. It's beautiful. But then in terms of the sort of the second best time, typically that answer would be winter, because winter is dry, animals go to the waterholes a lot. But this window, which is not always a fixed window, this window of sort of early summer, before the rains come, or the big rains come. I mean, there's been a bit of rain already, but when there's a bit of greenery, the bush is beautiful. I mean, this afternoon we have the stunning light, and just this light, the sort of fresh greenness of the bush, the new leaves, and the light filtering through it truly is adding a bit of magic to the afternoon. So you have that aspect, you have the baby animals starting to arrive, and before the rains come you still have extremely productive animal viewing, especially around waterholes, this afternoon being a perfect example. So in terms of really just seeing game, this sort of October, November time in Kruger, Sabi Sands where we are, is extremely good. And you remember last year, Big Cat Week, those of you that joined us, this year hopefully again, it's an amazing time to just see game. There's just so much happening. Just look at this guy. So he's actually been following us around. I've been meaning to show him a few times and then I forget, other things happen. Stunning bird, you can see the colors there on it. And it's not coincidence that he's following us around, it's with purpose. He's eating insects. I'm not sure what he's eating there at the moment, small something. Some of you might know what bird this is. I'm going to give it a few minutes before I tell you what it is, if you want to take a guess or if you know exactly what it is. And he's following us around because just like other big animals, elephant or buffalo or in this case a Land Rover, moving around the way we are, we're disturbing lots of little things. There's insects and grasshoppers and flies and things jumping up and moving around because of us. And of course for this bird, it's an easy way to catch them. You can see them and you can catch those little insects. Just look at this light, it's amazing, it's so beautiful. And the waterholes are active, it's hot, everything's happening. Hayden's sitting with one of the big five. Enjoy it, and we will see you back here again for some more wildlife action from our side.
Well folks, we've just pulled up to this treehouse dam, this dam that I used to come to when it was full of water. I haven't seen it like this before, this low, but we've come up and there's all these buffalo here, these males, a bachelor herd here, and there's some very interesting dominance behaviour going on here, and anything could kick off here in a second with these two. You can see this posturing going on by the one individual trying to show his dominance. Big male circling each other before potential engagement. Really incredible behaviour to see, folks. It's just great, circling each other. It's like two warriors, and whoever's the strongest will win that posturing display, or they may engage. Let's see what happens. So this boy right in front of us on the right hand side of your screen seems to be the strongest animal. The other animal has just walked away. We just don't know what could happen here, because this individual on the right hand side of your screen is definitely up for engagement. There's definitely a bit of tension around here, and I'm not sure whether this is a bachelor group that's known each other for some time or whether it's two bachelor groups that have come together, but there's definitely some tension in the air, folks, that's for sure. I've just got my stills camera out too, so you may hear a little flick away on the shutter now and again if I see something interesting, but definitely some tension with these fantastic creatures. Just sit here for a while, I think, and watch what happens. Wow, what an amazing afternoon. Peter's seen some incredible stuff down there, and that's just what happens sometimes when you sit and wait and see it be at a water point. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 individuals. Brian's got one, a couple right behind the vehicle that might come into shot any second. Couple of big boys here, really old boys. They kneel down as well and do some neck rubbing and sort of as a real display of this sort of aggressiveness, and there's not a lot of other bovine. What we're going to do, folks, is we're going to sit here and watch these guys for a little bit. I'll come straight back if any action happens, but I think Peter's got something really beautiful to see, a symbol of Africa, and we're going to cross back to him now. We'll see you right back.
Well, welcome back again. It's all happening this afternoon. Buffalo, starlings, giraffe, this nice big bull. We've just repositioned slightly. I'm liking the sort of lower view we've enjoyed this afternoon of the waterhole. In fact, we're going to be looking at a lot of wildlife at this waterhole from sort of this kind of view. And I'm hoping he has another drink. He's had a few good drinks already, but again, just a nice angle to watch it from. Giraffe, obviously a big bull like this guy. I mean, he would easily be probably close to 4 meters tall. So I have to get my conversion brain going again into feet, but we're looking at about 13, 14 feet, something like that. So it's quite no mean feat for him to get his head down, slurp the water up and stand up again. So it's always a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, he's finished drinking. Lovely view of him. It's going to reposition slightly and get us up there a bit, closer a bit. There's great bird life there as well. We've got helmeted guinea fowl, Egyptian goose, more Burchell starlings. Let's go have a look. Circle around a little bit. Actually, that's quite pretty, huh? Let's start with a bit of backlight there, Brian. Liam. Old habit there. You can see that sort of narrow band of cloud in the distance, just creating this filter for us. There you can see the water bubbling out as well. This is water that's pumped into this pan, and it will provide us with many great wildlife views over the next few days. These are helmeted guinea fowl, also very sort of typically African birds. You see them depicted in many African paintings and artwork, and actually very popular in fabrics as well, African dresses and so on. They often use the sort of the inspiration of the colors and the shapes of guinea fowl. That bird, you know, calling there. We'll have a look at one just now. So the guinea fowl with the blue heads, that's a Burchell starling running down into the water there now, to the water's edge. Then as we pan to the right, there was another starling just now. Fresh elephant dung, nice mud for some warthogs later maybe. There you can see some more starlings, and where's that lory gone now? There he's hiding. We'll get closer to them again just now. That's the grey lory that you could hear calling just now. I think we're going to just find another angle again, look at some more of the bird life. But in the meantime, Scott and Brent, we've got some more tales to tell you on the bushwalk.
Well, isn't it an absolutely beautiful afternoon here in the Sabi Sands? These clouds have come in about the last half an hour and creating some beautiful scenery. We've probably only made it about 100 meters from where you left us, and we are so happy to have found you some really interesting stuff. Now, Before you left us, we were talking about dung beetles and how they bury little boluses of dung that they roll up into tight, neat balls. And within that ball, they'll lay usually just one egg. And that one egg will hatch, and a little grub will then feed on the dung within the ball. Now, most of the time, they get buried underground. Some of them bury the dung balls at the site of the dung, which is what happened back there with the elephant dung. Others roll the dung away. Either way, what you can see here is that clearly this youngster, this little grub, got caught out before it could mature fully. It had fed on the majority of the dung within inside this capsule, but something had found it before it could survive to live another day. And the reason why we know that is because if we just have a quick look further down where we found this little ball of dung, which was over here, you can see something has come in and excavated, creating this pile of sand over here, probably a slender mongoose, maybe a honey badger, but something with quite small paws and a very good sense of smell that would have come along sniffing until it smelt that grub under the ground, dug it out, and had a tasty morsel. So that's a nice continuation of the story from the little dung beetle that we got to see earlier that was freshly buried. This could well have been from last summer. Now, I'm told we guys are getting spoilt with a lot of action at the various waterholes with Peter and Hayden, which is wonderful news. And we're going to rush back to camp now to give Andrew a turn to fly the drone around. So hopefully you'll get some images from the drone later, and it uses, for now, the same equipment that we need to broadcast for the bushwalk. So I'm going to have to say goodbye, sadly, but really look forward to getting Andrew a chance to take you on a little bit of a flight later on this afternoon. And we're going to send you over to Hayden and enjoy all the action at the waterholes and this beautiful, beautiful evening here at Djuma. Bye-bye.
Well, it was a very tense moment there where you saw those individuals, what's called broadsiding, and they'll do that for quite some time. They'll walk around head to tail, walk around in a circle, walk around. It's when they start to face each other, that's when they'll engage. And it's normally the prelude to the engagement of battle. Obviously, the more dominant animal pushed the other one away there. We've had several individuals walk across in front of us here, very big individuals with big bosses. That's the middle part of the horn there that you've probably seen many times before. But if you have just joined us, the boss is spelt the same way, B-O-S-S, is that very, very hard cap on their skull that will protect their skull. And normally the bigger the boss, the older the animal. Down here we've got some classic behaviour from a bachelor herd, lying around in the cool of the day, coating themselves in what's left of this waterhole, but lovely, glorious mud, and protecting themselves from biting flies. And particularly as they get older, their hair starts to come off certain areas of their body, and their skin starts to be a bit more exposed to those biting flies and parasites. So this mud does assist them in that way as well. Look, yes, they do lie around and wallow around all day, rolling around in lots of their own stuff, I suppose to say, and they're just boys that just roll around in it all, and that's what they love doing. You can see them ruminating there, just like we saw the giraffe ruminating earlier this morning, chewing their cud. Same digestive system as a giraffe, and very, very efficient feeders. Now they're lying in that beautiful mud there. I don't know if there's going to be any more action. We just saw a real sort of dust fight when we came up here, but it all seems to have calmed down a little bit. There's a couple of red-billed oxpeckers down there. Brian, I'm not sure if you can see, it's the individual at top of the screen. Yeah, you got him, mate, that's the one, right in the middle there. And that's a beautiful, beautiful bird. We just got a question from Gail in Rhode Island, and Gail wants to know how you tell the age of a buffalo. Well, that is a little bit tricky, Gail. It's a great question, and welcome aboard. Thank you very, very much for being with us this afternoon. It's certain individuals go through more battles than others, and some will break a horn, some will have a really, really rough time, and you can see individuals that have got such battle scars. They've got one horn, sometimes they've got a cavity in their horn that may end up becoming an infection, and meaning that they do end up potentially passing away to the great savannah in the sky, I suppose. But it's very, very tricky. Generally speaking, it is the size of the boss and the size of the curl in those horns, and there's lots of other contributing factors, but generally speaking it is that. And you can see that one, Brian, I think just in the middle. I'd say if he went 6 o'clock, he's got one horn there, and that's exactly what I meant. They break off in battle, and this is like maybe the B grade, or let's call it the seniors rugby team that only plays once a year these days. They've left the herd, they've been pushed aside, and they've formed these bachelor groups. It's a great question, Gail. Thank you very, very much. And it's really about the size of that boss, and that's the best way we can tell. Individual on the top of the screen there. It's quite a big boy there, big boy with a very, very lovely curl on his horns. We've got some those red-billed oxpeckers I just sort of mentioned before. I was just looking around to see if there's anything else happening, and sometimes when you stop at these water points, well, for want of a better term at the moment, you will get individual animals coming down to maybe do a little bit of a wallow. I did see some warthog up earlier before as well, so you just never know what can happen. But highly social creatures, buffalo. I really love buffalo, and I think I've mentioned it before when I've been in Djuma. A lot of people drive past them. Some of the behaviours are quite interesting, particularly when you see a breeding or several breeding herds or clans. Let's see what happens here with these two boys, whether they're just following each other or he will turn around and face that individual. Sorry, I'm chopping and changing, folks. I'm just about what I'm saying. I'm just looking at individual behaviour, because there was some tension in the group before when we first arrived, and then I think the most dominant individual displaced a few of the others and moved on. Those red-billed oxpeckers, I've just got up on an app here, folks, and if I've never met you before, you'll probably learn about me that I do like my apps and my toys and my little bits and bobs, and they can be really, really helpful, particularly with birds. And if the bird's a long way away, sometimes we'll see a beautiful bird and you try and get closer to it, but it ends up being a black dot in a silhouette in the sky. But we've got these beautiful red-billed oxpeckers here, and this is what it looks like up close. But I think the lovely thing about this little app, if I can just go back to sorry Brian, I do apologise pulling it down like that so quickly. I do have a little section in here which is a call, and it also gives you a great little section on where the birds occur. So really nice little bit of kit here, folks. And I think when you go out, one of the things I always say, and I know loads of the other presenters are right into their birds, you can drive around for a long time and not see a lot of mammals or anything else for that matter. It can be a really quiet day, and it happens, and that's no problem. That's the way the bush is. But you can always hear or see birds. This app is fantastic, and it does give That wonderful little vocalization. So really nice little bit of kit here, and it's probably the most popular app for birds of southern Africa, and I highly recommend it. It's a great thing to have, and if you don't want to carry too many books, I still got the book. It's really important. I love the book. The book's all dirty on the corners and thumbed, and it's got feathers in it, and it's got pieces of grass seed and little notes and things in it, and the book means a lot to me. But for ease of operation, sometimes having the app can be a really great thing. So just highly recommend that, and I will sort of draw into that as we go, if that's all right. And it's a nice bit of fun, particularly with kids. And folks, I have to say, if you have a problem with getting your kids away from those electronics, which we all do in our lives, when I say problems, you have to govern their time or master their time on these electronic pieces of equipment. Take the app outside. Take the piece of equipment out into the wilderness. Wherever you live in the world, there's going to be birds somewhere, and try and get an app that's for your region or your location, and get your kids to get out there and try and identify some birds or trees or anything for that matter. Connect with them. There can't be this disengagement that we think, well, these kids have got to read books. If we think like that, folks, we are going to miss the boat. We really are. The young people that we deal with in our worlds, whether they be our own or people we teach or come in contact with, the media, social media and electronics are part of their world. Bring it into the wilderness, bring it into the wild, and we will connect with those kids. We will reconnect them, and we'll show them that we want to work with them. Sorry, I'm really passionate about that, and I just think it's a great thing to be able to do. Well, it's all a little bit quiet here at the waterhole now, and okay. So we've got a question from Joyce, wondering whether local people in Africa have utilised the buffalo the way North American indigenous people did, and I can't say that I've ever heard that, Joyce. I think that these are I know American buffalo or bison are formidable opponents as well, but I'm not sure that they've ever been utilised to the point of that the American buffalo has. So I'm pretty sure that these animals have got such incredibly adaptive personalities, and they can live pretty much anywhere as long as there's a bit of water around, and they go in vast herds like American buffalo, but I just don't think they were ever been hammered as much as the American buffalo. So hopefully that answers your question, Joyce, and thank you very, very much for watching us this afternoon and being with us on the vehicle. A lot of people are keen to know whether these animals are going to get stuck. Well, I can tell you now that the African or Cape buffalo four-wheel drive system is probably better than most four-wheel drive systems on the planet. They can engage low range very, very quickly and get it into low range and get out of those situations. But I have to tell you now, this is when they're vulnerable, but you have to have a pretty formidable group of lion to take on these guys. You really would. But it is a situation. If it was only one or two individuals, but they were really, really practiced at killing big bulls or hunting big bulls, then we might they might have some luck. But I would highly doubt that lions would attack these boys. Interesting too, you can see how majority of the animals are lying with their rumps into the middle of the the mud wallow at this point that used to be Treehouse Dam, and still is Treehouse Dam, and will be full again after these superb rains come. But they're all facing outwards as well, and keeping a close eye. But hey ho, You never know. I'll tell you what we should do is we might cross back to Pete and see what he's up to. I'm sure he's got something down there with him. He's had a fantastic afternoon down there around Djuma waterhole, and we're going to drive on. It's been great to sit here with these guys because very, very chilled, and the temperature's dropping as well, so you never know what's around the next corner.
Well, as all of us have said numerous times this afternoon, beautiful afternoon, has been very hot, is still very hot, but it is cooling down a little bit. And we had some lovely nyalas actually having a drink here as well. And Jules was just saying that they were displaying. I see this male just walking off now. They've sort of finished drinking, so we're not going to stick around too much longer. But you can see a little bit of a display still there. This is called piloerection. When the hair is all standing up like that, you can see the whole mane, if you want, along the back, the neck, the belly, all the way to the tail. It sort of makes this halo of hair around the nyala bull. Probably of all the antelope, I mean, all antelope do this to some extent or another, but certainly nyala is by far the most dramatic and even theatrical in their displays when they do these beautiful slow dances, or posturing, if you want. Posturing would be the word I meant to say, around each other. But this guy just sort of feeling a little bit groovy this afternoon after his drink. I think all of us might be feeling a bit groovy. The cloud is blocking the sun, so it's really dropped a few degrees now. It's almost pleasant. It's only probably about 100 degrees Fahrenheit now. Bit of a breeze, always nice, as long as you drink enough liquids. Guys, this is a very important tip when you travel to Africa, or travel anywhere really, but when you travel to Africa where it's hot, make sure you get enough liquids in you, because you don't often feel it, but you are sweating the whole time, so it's important to stay cool. But we're going to leave this for now. I am going to come back here again a little bit later in the afternoon, but we've had such a lovely experience around Gowrie Waterhole. It's been, let's quickly count. I mean, apart from the birds, just mammal wise, we had the elephant to start, giraffe, impala, nyala, kudu, which we didn't really have a look at, but they came past. Vervet monkeys, am I forgetting one, VM? I think that's 6 species just here, and then of course beautiful birds as well. We are going to come back here again, but as I said in the beginning of the drive, we had leopard tracks this morning, mvula, which means rain, which is something we're all hoping for at the moment. Actually, let's just do a quick look back there as well, just towards the skyline. Let's get these trees in shot for you. Mvula wasn't far from me this morning. We had the track, Brent and them followed up as well. Liam and I also saw them, and I've got a little bit of a hope, or a sneaky suspicion even, that he might pop out here this afternoon, maybe even at this waterhole later on. I'll just give you a quick idea of the cloud we've been talking about. Sorry, VM, let me get my head out the way. There we go. We should have a beautiful sunset later on. In fact, why say later on? We have a beautiful sunset developing already as we speak. Now, these are not rain clouds, but they could be the whisper of rain to come in the next day or two. Of course, we will keep our eyes wide open for that. To have a bit of rain now, or even a lot of rain, would be brilliant. I mean, we don't want the sort of Cannes, France kind of rain, but a good bushveld thunderstorm would be awesome. Not only for the temperature, much more so for the animals and the habitat around us. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Obviously, that's really beautiful. Always nice to see a sunset. Nice to have you on drive with us. Let's go see if we can't find a leopard. What's the time now? 5:15. We've got a little bit more than half the drive to go still, so many things can still happen. Let's go see if we can find some of them. Oh, stunning. From the UK, I hope to always have my leopard mojo with me. I've got a permanent pouch in my bag for my leopard mojo, and that's only for that. But certainly the elephants have been making up for that. So I'm hoping for leopard. We always hope for leopard. I mean, if you drive around anywhere in the bush, you're always looking for that dappled surprise somewhere. But Sabi Sands, of course, the area that we are in, some of the best, if not perhaps the best leopard viewing in the world. And can only hope for the best as the afternoon goes along. like Mvula, to come back to the leopard that I hope we can find this afternoon. Keep in mind, Karula has also been hanging around over the last few weeks around Boyatella area. Speculation of a cub. Always exciting to have that possibility around. And Mvula, he's a dominant male leopard. And again, Scott and Steph and the guys, and Graham as well, who always keeps really up to date with all the leopard movement here. Mvula's territory has been shifted a little bit by Tingana, a big male leopard, which is more towards the east. That sort of pushed him a little bit. So he's on the sort of towards the edge of his area now. Mulwati drainage line, Boyatella Dam, that's sort of where the patrol area would be. And looking at his tracks from this morning, it certainly looks like he has been patrolling and scent marking. In fact, we saw a place where he scent marked. So that gives me a good feeling that he could be heading down towards Gari Water. That would be a very important place for him to scent mark. It's a very prominent place to mark. So we are going to be looking for him. And let's have a quick look at these guys. I do want to look around a little bit, so we're not going to stay with them too long because we spent time earlier. We'll probably spend time with them again later as well. But they're nice and close and we like them. Let's have a look at these ellies. Can never see too many elephant. Especially this herd. They around here very often, we see them a lot, so they're also comfortable with us. You can see it right here. Hello, how are you? Now you recognize elephant over time from little markings, sometimes specific folds in the trunk, but in this case, if you look at his ear just at the top right there, okay, he's not keeping himself cool by moving it, but that area would be a sort of a telltale marking for this young elephant. Got a little hole in there, quite fresh by the look of it, maybe 6 months ago or so. And over time, as these elephants get older, they get little cuts and tears and holes and punctures in the ears, and you can get to know them from that. This one's a couple of years old, so already eating his own food. And what he's eating there at the moment, I know Scott actually this morning on his walk, for those of you that joined us for the AM safari, he was showing the specific kind of bush and showing where elephants had eaten it. This is a sickle bush. And we used to always say the Latin name for a sickle bush, and you must listen carefully now, is a Landrovius flatarius. Because sickle bush have got these very hard spines. They don't actually have thorns, they've got these hard spines. And they're one of the main causes of flat tires for Land Rovers in the bush. So we used to call it Landrovius flatarius. That's the bush we're looking at right there with those thin leaves. Dicrostachys macronata, I think, is the real Latin name for it. Only because back in the day when they named them, they didn't have Land Rovers yet. Look at this one sneaking up behind us. I don't know if we can actually see it. It's right behind us at the moment. Keep in mind we've got a passenger on the vehicle. We don't typically like showing the back of the vehicle, but this is a good one. Rowan was flat down there as well. Thought he might grab you for a second there, Rowan. Oh guys, I'm glad we stopped for these ellies. Look at that. Beautiful female again. Lovely late afternoon light now. The best time, the golden hour to be in the bush. Got a question from Michigan. Zelma asking, sorry guys, I was thinking two things all at once there, so I was only partly listening. Can you repeat your question please, Zelma? My apologies. I know you were asking something, but I forgot what it was. VM, did you hear it? Yes, good question. And yes is the answer. Elephants do dig up soil and eat it sometimes for extra nutrients. And the only reason I didn't quite catch your question there the first time, I was thinking of a Afrikaans nursery rhyme, which is about elephant, and it goes like this. Now, probably no one will understand this, but I will translate for you afterwards. Oom olifant, jou reuse dier, die mense lag vir hul plesier. Want waar het jy al ooit gehoor van 'n stertjie van agter en 'n stertjie van voor? Now, unfortunately, to translate that into English, I mean, I can tell you the meaning, which I'll do shortly, but it doesn't quite sort of have the same panache, if you want, or the same rhythm and rhyme. But it says that, Mr. Elephant, you magnificent, massive animal, people are laughing for their pleasure when they see you. Because where have you ever heard of an animal with a tail at the back and a tail at the front? And that's a little nursery rhyme I learned as a kid, and I still love that. Whenever I see ellies like this, when they're walking away and their tails are swinging, it makes me think of it. A rhyme that I will be teaching my kids quite soon. This is good times for elephants now. They, as we said earlier, even though it hasn't rained much, obviously we have all this new leaf flush, and that's giving them great food. Very well demonstrated by this young female at the moment. Something's going on. You could obviously hear the elephant off to our right hand side, that nice clear loud rumble, but there's another one further away, so they're busy chatting to each other. Let's stay with them a couple minutes more, just see if this guy comes out and fly on the lens there. This youngster was very comfortable with us earlier, so maybe might come over for a little greeting. Also lovely just to sit and listen. Hear the birds and the silence. Elephant herds just make this beautiful, almost tranquil sound when they're moving through the bush. A little branch snapping here, some grass being pulled out of the ground over there. Okay, so let's just sit for a little bit and listen to them.